A Nike employee or a former Nike employee who is making the rounds with a video that is now circulating the internet, talking about the situation involving Nike, Caitlin Clark, the slow play that they're doing, even doing so much to show how their stock is falling off the shelf. And let's talk about this video. You may have seen it by now. I'm going to show it to you again, but it's a former 15-year employee at Nike in the women's division, and
they brought her on board, only to push her aside. Now, an insider is revealing the truth behind one of the most staggering corporate mistakes in sports history. Caitlin Clark's main sponsor isn't just neglecting her, they're undermining their most valuable player. The real reason behind this shocking betrayal is something you won't believe.
Such a big game for Caitlin, her returning to her alumni in Iowa and her hitting that massive logo 3, the logo 3 during the game, that some of her sponsors would want to show her support on social media, do any sort of marketing to uplift her and uplift their brand. And one who did do that was Gatorade. They tweeted a photo of her and they said, "Real home court advantage. Welcome back to Iowa, Caitlin Clark." Now, one of her lead sponsors that was noticeably quiet yesterday was Nike. And a lot of people were tweeting about this. They were wondering, why isn't Nike and Nike basketball, why are none of their accounts saying anything about this? Yes, it's a preseason game, but this is a huge day for Caitlin. She's returning.
Caitlin Clark didn't just play basketball, she redefined it. From breaking records in college to making an unforgettable WNBA debut, every game she played became a major event. Every shot she took became a headline. Take her unforgettable return to Iowa, for example. The electricity in that arena was palpable. And that jaw-dropping logo three-pointer? It sent shockwaves across the entire sports world. In moments like these, sponsors, who are usually quick to seize on such milestones, should have been racing to celebrate her. Yet, they didn't.
Let's you and me talk about Caitlin Clark, since you refuse to talk about Caitlin Clark. I care deeply about you. I spent over a decade in your marketing organization. I spent several years trying to get into your organization. And it's been 3 years since I left your company. I'm just here as a friend. I care about you. I want to show you two different charts here. One, your stock price since 2021. It is down nearly 60%. Your executives and the people who are making these decisions, their stock options are worthless. Meanwhile, you have the single biggest needle mover in all of American sports since Michael Jordan, and you have somehow convinced yourself that you need to slow play this. Let me show you Google Trends search traffic for 4 female basketball players. There is one who only rivals Caitlin Clark, and that is Ain't Reese, and you didn't.
One major name in sports, a brand that's practically synonymous with athletic excellence, stayed shockingly silent. Their basketball channels, their flagship brand platforms, nothing. Fans were quick to notice, and their confusion and frustration quickly filled social media. Why was this iconic brand, a leader in the world of sports endorsements, ignoring its brightest rising star at the height of her success? What started as a puzzling PR misstep soon revealed itself as something far more concerning. A former insider, a seasoned employee with 15 years in the women's division, stepped forward with a bombshell that has shaken both sneaker fans and top-level executives to their core. She didn't just speak out, she laid out a case so damning it's impossible to ignore.
How in the world is Nike not going full-on Caitlin Clark phenomenon? You've got the most popular women's athlete in the world. Do they still not have a Caitlin Clark shoe out? My mind is blown by this. The minute that she started playing in the WNBA, you should have rolled out for every little girl in America the Caitlin Clark ones. And that should have been the baddest ass women's tennis shoe that has...
The insider's revelations were nothing less than shocking. She painted a grim picture of the brand's decline, pointing to the near 60% drop in stock price since 2021, an impact so severe it's left executives' personal stock options virtually worthless. But her message was clear: it was time to address Caitlin Clark. The accusation she made was blunt and unsettling. This brand was deliberately sidelining Clark, treating her as an afterthought, as though she were some discounted relic rather than the once-in-a-generation talent she truly is.
A lot of conversation has been made around Caitlin Clark, her signature shoe, the Nike deal, and with how much Nike has been dragging their behind, which how much Nike has been moseying to the finish line when it comes to pushing the Caitlin Clark button, fans started speculating maybe this deal isn't as official as we thought it was. We get no signature shoe, no news of a shoe all season long. We get no merchandise all season long. We get no commercial.
Her supposed deal, an 8-year, $28 million contract, seemed like a bargain for a player who has completely transformed an entire league. When you compare that to the rumored 9-figure contracts given to other rising stars, the stark inequality becomes impossible to ignore. But what's even worse? Despite all the talk of a signature shoe and a full line of merchandise, nothing ever came to fruition. It wasn't just a missed opportunity, it was a betrayal in plain sight.
Caitlin Clark's Nike deal might be the worst endorsement deal in the history of professional sports. You guys remember this billboard that was put up in Iowa? Well, that's one of the last times that Nike has done anything for Caitlin Clark. They promoted her more in college than they have at all the entirety of the WNBA season. She signed an 8-year, $28 million deal with Nike that also included her own signature shoe, which honestly, looking at it now, $28 million for 8 years is an absolute steal for this superstar, when a player like Wemby's Nike deal was rumored to be over $100 million. Caitlin has not only had an incredible rookie season, but she has also transformed the WNBA.
There were no iconic Clark ones for the millions of young girls who saw her as their role model. No special apparel to celebrate her groundbreaking arrival. It was as if they made promises in May and couldn't even follow through on those. The brand that once revolutionized athlete endorsements was now behaving like a flaky Tinder date, full of empty promises and no follow-through. And, of course, this massive oversight didn't go unnoticed. It opened the door wide for a bolder, more ambitious competitor to swoop in.
She feels as though that this Nike deal has been racially motivated. She believes that there's a disparity in how Nike is prioritizing and rewarding athletes like Caitlin Clark. And it's just, she's saying that athletes like Caitlin Clark are getting the better deals compared to other athletes, especially women of color. She additionally expressed her frustration through social media in her podcast, The Reese Life, suggesting that Nike was not treating all WNBA players.
While the dominant brand seemed content to leave Caitlin Clark as a hidden gem, a rival giant in the athletic world was watching closely. And when the opportunity arose, they didn't hesitate, they moved with the precision and intensity of a cat zeroing in on a laser pointer. The moment Clark's team showed any sign of frustration with the brand's inaction, this competitor swooped in, not just with a small gesture, but with a full-on sneaker bouquet. Their offer? Nothing short of extraordinary. A personal line, exclusive colorways, and a commitment to real respect. They didn't just send strategists, they brought a powerhouse team, ready to elevate her profile to the level of a pop star headlining a sold-out arena.
All season long, and it had people thinking to themselves, maybe this deal that we all thought was finished and signed and completed isn't as finished, signed, and completed as we thought, or maybe they're renegotiating. Maybe Caitlin Clark on her end pulled back the reins, said, whoa, let's revisit this clause that I said if this doesn't get done in this amount of time, we need to revisit that. People were even speculating that. But today was the Nike quarterly call.
The difference couldn't be more glaring. The entrenched Goliath, sluggishly coasting toward the finish line, while the daring challenger was ready to lift the entire women's sports industry, armed with cash and a bold, crystal-clear vision. This wasn't just about securing a shoe deal, it was about vision, recognition, and the audacity to pull off the game-changing move of the century.
Nike has been having one horrible week in the media, bro. And what's crazy is that everything started off great. They put out a wonderful Super Bowl commercial. Everybody was for Nike. You want to know what Nike did? Shot themselves in their own foot, man. Everybody's weighing in on this situation. We know they put out the wonderful Caitlin Clark commercial over the last weekend in the Super Bowl. Then the very next day, they messed up, put out another commercial. Didn't even mention Caitlin Clark's name at all. And then just yesterday, they re-edited the damn commercial and did a voiceover over it. Like, my goodness. If I was Nike,
But just when you think the story couldn't get any more troubling, it takes a sharp, uncomfortable turn. The former insider dropped a bombshell accusation, suggesting that the brand's handling of endorsements, especially those involving Clark, wasn't merely a case of corporate oversight, but potentially influenced by bias. She claimed that the brand has been consistently prioritizing and rewarding certain athletes over others, pointing to a troubling discrepancy in how white athletes like Clark are valued in comparison to their counterparts of color.
Supporters, let's talk about Caitlin Clark. and Nike. All right, now I got to thinking about yesterday's event, and that's what it was. This was a sporting event we witnessed yesterday afternoon between the Fever and the Brazil national team. You want to know why Caitlin Clark games are different, haters? It's because her games are an actual event that you appointment.
This troubling suggestion found an unexpected echo from another WNBA star, Angel Reese, who, despite receiving notable brand attention, didn't hold back on her frustrations about the unequal treatment of WNBA players on her podcast. While Clark was pulling in record viewership and filling arenas, the brand seemed laser-focused on promoting Reese, often through awkwardly posed, overly editorialized images that failed to capture her on-court brilliance. Where were the powerful team spreads showcasing Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and other rising stars? Instead, we were left with poorly cropped images of Reese, giving the impression that the brand's strategy wasn't just inconsistent, it felt deliberate and even divisive.
2 years. The Asia Wilson sneaker was reportedly kept a secret. 2 years. While last year Nike's being drugged through the coals because Asia Wilson doesn't have a sneaker, yet people are screaming for Caitlin Clark to have a sneaker. And then they make it seem like they changed course and Asia Wilson's going to get a sneaker first. But 2 years. A 2-year lie. That's what happened yesterday in the unveiling of the Asia Wilson sneaker by Nike.
Then, just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, the brand made another head-scratching move, turning the entire week into a PR disaster. After a Super Bowl commercial that had everyone talking, they followed up with a new ad that, oddly, failed to mention Caitlin Clark in any way. The backlash was swift and unforgiving. Fans, sports analysts, and even seasoned NBA players jumped into the conversation, all mocking the glaring oversight. The exclusion was hard to ignore, and the criticism came from all corners.
I could swear I remember that. And because of that, largely a lot of players didn't like Caitlin Clark very much last year. They had to teach her a lesson by absolutely fouling the ever-loving shit out of her. But let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomont, aka Rudy the Hammer. This is where we talk facts over feelings. To all you who are back again, I appreciate y'all. Please be sure to like the video, leave a comment. And for those of you who are new, please be sure to pound that like button, subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment. Nike unveiled Asia Wilson sneaker.
So, what did the brand do? In a move that only fueled the fire, they rushed to re-edit the same commercial the very next day, slapping on a hasty voiceover to finally mention Caitlin Clark's name. This frantic backpedal felt more like a desperate attempt to salvage a sinking ship than a well-thought-out strategy. And as if the damage wasn't enough, just to add salt to the wound, the brand proudly announced AJ Wilson's signature shoe amidst the chaos, almost as if to make a statement about where their true focus lay.
You've got the most popular women's athlete in the world. Do they still not have a Caitlin Clark shoe out? My mind is blown by this. The minute that she started playing in the WNBA, you should have rolled out for every little girl in America the Caitlin Clark ones. And that should have been the baddest ass women's tennis shoe that has ever been made in the history of Nike. How are you burying Caitlin Clark inside of a garbage ad, Nike, where you claim that the reason why women's athletes aren't successful is because of misogyny? What? Do you know men watch more women's athletics than women do? If misogyny actually existed, no male sports fans would watch women's sports, and they would be even less popular than they already are. Most Caitlin Clark fans.
While AJ Wilson's signature shoe was undeniably a big win for her, the announcement came with an uncomfortable undercurrent. The shoe had been kept under wraps for 2 years, a fact that critics quickly labeled as a 2-year lie. This only deepened the growing suspicion that the brand had been strategically withholding key information, delaying major releases, and mismanaging their most valuable assets. It wasn't just a PR misstep, it was a full-blown disaster. The brand's approach felt juvenile, as if they were picking favorites like a child in a candy store, completely out of touch with the very audience they claim to serve. The strategy doesn't just look like a series of poor decisions, it feels like an existential crisis, a midlife meltdown of sneaker culture. While Caitlin Clark is out there dominating arenas, breaking viewership records, and sending social media into overdrive with every jaw-dropping shot, the brand seems more focused on handing the spotlight to players whose biggest viral moments revolve around their outfits, not their performance. It's painfully out of sync with what fans actually care about, and it's hard to watch. Caitlin Clark is not a passing trend or a flash in the pan, she's a cultural force. The future of women's basketball. The way the brand is treating her as a secondary player is akin to asking a diehard fanbase to choose between a generic concert and their favorite artist's sold-out stadium show. It's not just a missed opportunity, it's deeply personal. It's a slap in the face to the loyal fans who keep the league alive, the ones whose passion has been the driving force behind its growth. Clark's brand isn't just a line item in a quarterly report. She is the brand. She's built her influence in spite of this company, not because of them. So, the big question remains, can this brand recover from its staggering mistakes? Or has Caitlin Clark's eventual shift to their rival become inevitable? If Clark makes the leap to the three stripes, the shockwave will be monumental. The Clark One Fire edition wouldn't just sell out, it would obliterate sales charts in a matter of minutes. Picture it, parking lot scuffles, adults scrambling for kid sizes, and the kind of feverish demand that would make sneakerheads feel like it was 1996 all over again. This rival, with its innovative designs and relentless push to stay ahead of the curve, wouldn't be trying to recreate the past, they'd be handing her the keys to an entire division. A division she could rename Clark Performance if she wanted, with campaigns that could include behind-the-scenes footage, holographic product drops, and maybe even a line of custom stepbacks. A Caitlin Clark partnership isn't just about a shoe deal. It's about total domination of the market. It would send shockwaves so powerful that the executives over at the current brand would wake up in cold sweats, wondering, why didn't we just give her the damn shoe? This isn't a missed opportunity, it's a branding catastrophe. It's the kind of blunder you can't afford to make, especially when you're staring down the inevitable departure of one of the brightest stars in the game. If Clark walks, that iconic swoosh will become a long, painful sigh, a symbol of everything they failed to do.